1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Royal Blue Podcast sound check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Royal Blue Podcast sound check. Hello and welcome to the Royal Blue Podcast. It is the Monday show. We are live on the Royal Blue YouTube channel. I am your host, Ian Croll, and joining me in the Royal Blue studio today to talk all things Everton, we've got Chris Beesley. Chris, how are things? All good? Good weekend?
Yeah, busy because obviously you had the Everton Aston Villa at Hill Dickinson on the Saturday, and then what was obviously a historic occasion for Everton women, their first competitive game at Goodison Park since it became their permanent home, and see, there was a disappointing display from them, 2-0, but they were very pleased with the attendance. They got over 6,000 people in Goodison, and they're hoping to like the men, much changed side, 9 new signings this summer to really kick on the season. So yeah, a bit busy time.
Good stuff. We've also got Gav Buckland making it a bit of a rare Monday show appearance. You've always been
there's reasons for that.
Fixed to the Friday the past couple of weeks.
Yeah. I don't like doing the pod before the derby, you know. But now we're back on after Friday's appearance. Me and Chris are back in the studio, back by
popular demand.
Don't change your winning team.
Absolutely. I'm, if you want to say, I'm cold. I've just walked here and it's absolutely perishing outside.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like the middle of December.
And we are close to Hill Dickinson Stadium,
Absolutely.
So that doesn't bode well for the winter months, does it?
I think that walk down Legion Road might be a bit more different to what has been the first couple of games.
So I was just going to say, you're talking about cold. I mean, spare the thought. If you're wondering where he is, poor Joe Thomas is. He is working today. You know, he's not slacking. Beavering away there in the background, but he's working from home at the moment because he's having to wait in for a fridge. Okay. So, you know, he's at the mercy of the delivery men. I don't know which company are providing this. You know, I wouldn't like to say.
But his fridge is warmer than what it is outside.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, it's a good point. This the lineup has changed last minute. It was meant to be you along with Joe and potentially Gav, and I've had to step in because Joe is waiting for his delivery on a fridge. So the fridge comes first, I guess.
So yeah, if anyone wants any donations, if for Joe, send him something to fill his new fridge with when it comes.
Some nice beers, some nice lagers.
Yeah. I never expected to be talking about Joe's fridge when I stepped into it.
I'm not sure if there's a freezer compartment.
Do you know what it is? We're trying to get a alcoholic sponsor for the podcast.
Oh, we've had one before.
Tony's desperate. Tony Scott's desperate for it. So,
wow.
For these post-match podcasts that we're doing, he wants like a IPA, I think was his drink.
Yeah.
So anyway, we've gone on a little bit there.
Do we need to mention our sponsor, by the way?
We will come up to it. NordVPN. Gav there, desperate to get the NordVPN
I'm not
shout
in payroll, by the way. I'm just saying,
No, do you know what? To be fair, before I started, I just wanted to give a shout out to 2 people who've stopped me recently about the show.
Yeah.
So we've got Finn and Dan.
Okay.
Basically, 2 fans of the show. Finn stopped me on the way to my seat in the South Stand on Saturday. Said how much he loved the show. And then Dan, who's a postman, who was on his morning rounds this morning, took my daughter to school, and on the way back to the car, he stopped me and we were having a little chinwag for a couple of minutes, and he said he really loved the show, and he said the best part about the show, do you know what it is? It's certainly not the new studio. It's the fact that we love a good debate.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Gav were talking about that, weren't you? Before
You've got to have diverse views that are expressed, fairly and without being a bit, over the top. That's what it's supposed. And you've got to have diverse views that go against the common consensus as well. There's no point coming on here, obviously, And like, Everton fans said this before, generally have a common consensus about things, but you say something different, and sometimes you regard as being negative, but that's not right. It's just a different viewpoint. On that same basis, say hello to Peter Ressort and the Lion outside Barnstreet after the game on Saturday, who said exactly the same thing about the podcast. Yeah.
Well, on that basis, then there's going to be plenty more debates and arguments coming from my end anyway. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Today's agenda: obviously, Everton didn't win on Saturday. We did get a draw, so we finally got something to moan about. We didn't have anything to moan about on Friday's show. Yeah. Things were going smoothly, but we have got a little bit to moan about. But to be fair, I'm sure we will come on to it. It was relatively positive, wasn't it? We did do an immediate post-match show after the game, as just mentioned, so you can go back, watch and listen to that. That was me and Tony Scott. But we will get Chris's and Gav's thoughts on the game with one eye looking ahead to Saturday's Merseyside derby. And are you ready for it, Gav? It is time for the sponsor, NordVPN. To get the best discounts off your NordVPN plan, go to nordvpn.com/EFC. Our link will give you 4 extra months on the 2-year plan. There's no risk with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. The link is in the podcast episode description. We are live, so get your questions in, get your comments in. People who are listening or watching aren't going to really understand this, but I've promised Gav and Chris that the comments to this podcast will be on the telly in front of us, but for some reason, it's not.
Just get to admire ourselves.
So,
have you had any comments?
We have had some comments, so we will read them out.
Disappointing.
What I wanted to do was give Gav and Chris the chance to look at the comments and maybe address them as we were going live. Because I'm trying to obviously read out questions and think of comebacks to you guys, and sometimes I might miss some really good ones. So the original plan was to have the comments up on the screen so we could see them, but unfortunately that is not the case. So I'm going to have a look at that for the next pod, but I will read out as many as I can as we move on.
Work in progress.
Yeah, exactly. That's it. Like Everton. Chris, Villa, it was only 2 days ago, so obviously we will still speak about it. We created a high number of chances. Thought we played fairly well. Just couldn't get the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, I'd asked David Moyes after the game about what his assessment was, and he was very positive how he felt that the team had played. He was emphasising those positives and saying, if you look back, obviously, is the corresponding fixture last season, Villa at home was his first one back when Everton were a point above the relegation zone at the halfway mark of the season, and he wanted to sort of point out the progress that they've made since then. They've actually come out of a game against Aston Villa, disappointed not to have won the game, and obviously failed to score a game, but if there was one team going to win it, hopefully, there was a couple of nervy moments, but on the whole, it was Everton. They were the team who were trying to win the game, and I suppose we'll come on to it all. Obviously, the missed opportunities that they had, maybe going on another game. Obviously, Beto's one's well documented, but even that Michael Keane header at the end. There was a lot of for a 0-0 draw. There was a lot of positives, hopefully, to take from that match.
Do you take the positives from it, Gav? I know there's a bit of criticism for maybe one or two individuals. Maybe Connor O'Neill's player ratings gave Beto a 5. Would you have gone along those lines? Would you agree with that?
There's a thing, isn't it? In when companies look at performance and stuff like that, is what they say is you don't take the positives, you look at the negatives and improve on the negatives. You say, and I know managers say, we take the positives. No, they're not. What they're doing, they say that publicly, but in private, they're looking at the things that was done badly and improving them. And those are often more than more discussed. That's why we're on the pod, aren't we? We discuss the negative bits, don't we? And how we can improve it. What was the question again? I forgot.
Taking the positives.
Do you agree with Chris?
Yeah, I think so. We had 20 attempts?
20.
The XG,
2 on target.
2 and a bit, was it? Something like that. Which means
2.08.
Yeah, only 2 to 1 on target.
If you average that out, that means every chance we had only had a 10% chance of scoring, didn't it? 20.
Especially with some of those long range ones.
Yeah. I thought some of our long range shooting wasn't great, was it? I thought there was time when we overplayed it in and around the box. Yeah. I thought Jack was still effective on Saturday, but there was 2 occasions where one where he turned aside. He had a great shooting opportunity, then carried on running across the area. Yeah. Another one where something similar, but he played the reverse pass for Irabunum to run onto, and the ball just went out of play. And I think we're guilty of overplaying it. I'm not sure whether we created, really what they call high quality chances or something like that. For the amount of high quality chances we created, for the amount of possession we had in and around the Villa area, I think there was a mismatch. And at the end of the day, you know, the most effective player in their box turned out to be Michael Keane, showing again why he's the club's best centre forward. And,
Not just finishing the club's best centre forward.
No, but he's, you know, but he does find space.
Yeah,
he does find space in the box, both on the floor and in the air. He does find space. And you know, when others were struggling on Saturday, in the first half, he had to head over the bar. Didn't he?
He had more opportunities. The most Everton player with the most opportunities.
And if you think how long he was in the area for, that says a lot for him. And in keeping with his performance, so I'm not taking the positives. He's had a really good start to the season. I think he was probably at fault a little bit, like everybody else, for the goals at Wolves. I thought he was exceptional on Saturday, and that Martinez save, people say, "Oh, a great save," but I don't know. It's just. He's got to tip it over, hasn't he? He doesn't have to dive anywhere. It's a reaction save. But I thought there was that and the Grealish shot in the first half, wasn't it? That he saved. It
took a deflection, didn't it? He saved it with his legs.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a good save, but you could say it was a little bit lucky as well.
Yeah, so we did. I think what I'm saying here, ultimately, though we had 20 attempts on goal, it wasn't really.
It was only 2 on target.
Yeah, 2 on target. We didn't really create a high number of quality chances.
It was more opportunities in the final third.
Like you said,
opportunities.
Should have done better decision making at times.
If your average chance only got 10%, you know, chance of scoring, then that means you've probably taken a lot of opportunities you didn't need to do. You know, like shooting from outside the box and you know that type of stuff. But it was, you know, Villa have been a good team last couple of years, and we had a couple of injuries. They still had a good team out and a good subs bench on Saturday. So in that context, you know, of course you take the positives, but there was a few things that need improvement. I would imagine there would be a conversation at Finch Farm this week between Moyes and Grealish that says, "Listen, Jack, you know, you're playing really well at the moment, August Player of the Month, but you know there are occasions where you're overplaying it, and." You know, at City, you could probably get away with that because you have so much of the ball. But with us, possibly you don't have the same opportunities. And I thought he was guilty of that. And I think NJ occasionally can be like that as well. So yeah, it was good, good performance. Disappointed not to win, and but there's things to improve on there, isn't it?
Do you go along with that, Chris, in terms of clear-cut chances? Because there was a lot of criticism for probably, namely Beto, after the game. I think the first chance that he had, I don't think that is as clear-cut as people actually making out. It's just outside the 6-yard box from what I can remember, and I gets the ball to him, and he does fluff his lines. I don't think there's any doubt in that. But you know, I think I've seen some extremist views, and I think one of our regular listeners or watchers of the pod, Gavin Cunningham, said, "I never want to see Beto play for the club again." Now, obviously, everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Fair enough.
It stuck in my mind that because I just thought, well, if he never plays for the club again, then we've only got one fit and available striker, Tierno Barry, who is clearly not proven at all. So, I don't know. I just think the criticism of Beto at the moment is completely over the top, and I think sometimes it's so easy to have a go at a player when they do miss the chance or fluff the lines and have a bad game. Fair enough, you in-house, like Gav said, you do look at the negatives and you look at how you can improve, but he's going to score more goals than probably what we've had previously in this season. That was one prediction that I'll make now.
That early chance, actually, I think it looked worse in real time when we watched it back on the monitors. You could see it wasn't quite as bad as it first looks. I mean, it's a double-edged sword, isn't it? Because he's getting on to the end of these chances, and maybe that's a big thing that he's there to miss them as it was, and obviously we'd like him to be taking a few more of them. But it's the nature of the beast, isn't it? And they've had to spend so much in terms of just getting the numbers in this summer. They were never going to be able to just spend big on one striker. I think we've had this debate.
I mean,
on
effectively,
before,
we have spent big though as well.
For us, in terms of like, and even that, as much as Barry offers promise for the future, he's unproven, isn't he? Still only a young player, no Premier League experience. He had 1 year in one of the big leagues in Spain with Villarreal. So yeah, I think Beto's got a big chance to play. We know that certain elements like his touch needs to be improved on, and how much you can do that at his stage of his career. I don't know. Interested enough. Either myself or Joe will be going down to speak to him this afternoon, depending on refrigerator commitments. That one's still in the balance. A bit like whether Moyes goes with Barry or Beto. We're not too sure who that one's going to be, but one of us will be speaking to him. And he does wear his heart on his sleeve. He's very emotional and passionate in his performances, and it means a lot to him. But yeah, I think you've got to hopefully embrace Beto for what he is, and like you say, that compared to what Everton have been, feeding off scraps in terms of goal scorers in recent seasons, just get all that you can from him out there. You know what you're going to get with Beto, and sometimes that's good, and sometimes it's not so good.
Just sticking with this, because I do think it's the main point from the game, isn't it? The lack of, well, obviously not lack of chances, because we did create a couple of chances, but in terms of being clinical in front of goal, would you agree, Gav, that a lot of our attack and play came from the flanks, obviously with Grealish and Ndiaye?
Yeah.
Do you know how many through balls we attempted against Aston Villa? So obviously, just what I mean is, I still don't think we're playing to Beto's
Well, I'll
strengths.
tell you what, there was one, wasn't there, where in the first half, we talked about his first touch, where he does well getting behind the defence. There was a long ball, and there's obviously, I don't know if it might be Mings, it's obviously quite early on that Mings is going to miss it. Right. And Beto runs in behind him, doesn't he? And he's right. He assesses the situation well, and the ball misses whoever the Villa defender was. I think it was Mings. And if you control the ball, you're on a one-on-one with the keeper. I remember it hits his shin or something, and ball,
I do remember that. That was more of an over the top, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, over the top. Ball. But you know what I'm saying? It's still you're getting behind the defence, which is threat. And what I'm saying is he read the situation well. When the ball was played, he thought the Villa players committed themselves here. I'm going to get behind him in case he misses it, and he does. But then he wastes it with his touch. And Chris's point is well made, is that you've got to be there to miss the chances. But I think the frustrating thing with Beto is it's the way he misses them, like hitting the ball onto his other foot on Saturday. It was funny enough. It couldn't have been that great an opportunity, because Match of the Day didn't show it, did they?
No.
They spoke about it later on, didn't show it in the highlights. And then where he completely missed the ball in the second half. I mean, the one thing that he did do well, that was a good header, wasn't it? Off the one that was given offside, that the goalkeeper saved on the line.
Yeah.
And so with Beto, it's not what he misses; it's the way he misses them.
Yeah. I think he lacks composure, certainly in front of goal.
Well, I'm not sure about that. He did a few one-on-ones last year.
No, well, that's my point though. So when he's through on goal, one-on-one, now I know he still missed a couple of those chances. I think you can pinpoint back to the derby where he's through on goal. He certainly should have scored, but in terms of through balls on Saturday, getting it Beto in behind the defence with space to run onto, we didn't attempt one through ball into Beto.
That's an interesting stat, isn't it? Really? So, I didn't know that, but that is quite interesting.
I mean,
is that because we're too based on the wide players?
Well, that's what I'm asking you.
I was just going to say, maybe ironically, it's all if buts and maybes, but I wonder if Beto would have dealt with that Tierno Barry one-on-one chance, done a bit better with that one. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a good shout, isn't it?
They threaded it because it was Merlin Roll, didn't he? Threaded it through. That'd been Beto earlier in the game.
Yeah,
I think my point is, we're still not, when Beto plays, we're not always playing to his strengths.
No, I think that's a good point.
And I think we've got to find a way to create space between the opposition, behind the opposition defence. And what the only way, or there's obviously two ways to do that, is sitting back with a bit of a low block, so that bring the team onto you. But we're not playing like that at this moment in time. Yeah. The emphasis on us at the start of this season has to kind of been go at teams, and it's served us well, no doubt. It has. But we know Beto is better, like you said. He has got composure when he's through on goal. It's sometimes those snapshots where his legs are all over the place like a giraffe.
And that's because I don't think his thinking is clear enough, is it, when the ball comes into the box like that. I think it's a valid point. You suspect if you've got as if Grealish is playing really well, as the Ndiaye is a really good player, that defenses maybe sit a little bit deeper, and you don't have the same opportunities to play the ball in through the middle behind them. I think this goes back, and I said this tonight, is I still think our strategy, there was a flaw in our strategy, wasn't there, in the summer. I think we'd have called a 7.5 on 10. And I've said this several times on the pod, that I think there's an imbalance, isn't there, where we've got 6 players looking for 3 positions behind the striker, and that we spend big money on 2 of them. And then we've got 2 strikers who you wouldn't necessarily think are first choice strikers in a perfect world. I think added on to that, and Chris, you mentioned about spending money. is I think you said, well, we spent a lot of money on Barry, haven't we, to be a development. I hate that phrase, development.
Nobody
to learn the ropes. He's not fully formed striker. Spent a lot of money on that, but you only do that if you know you've got a first choice striker that you can trust and is proven. That's when you do that. And I think Beto, for all his the good things he's done, scored quite a few goals in the last season. I think there's a doubt whether he is that, and so I think the problem is buying Barry in those circumstances. Would you have spent the money on a more experienced striker that was, Premier League proven? And not saying Barry's a bad sign. I'm just saying in the context of the money that we've spent, and that's the issue for me. Or the alternative is Barry, okay, sign him, but instead of having 6 players for 3 behind the striker, is don't buy one of them and buy a third striker with that money, because I just think we've got a lot of skill on the wings, but I don't think we've got the strikers who can take advantage of it. Would be great in that system when he was here for half a year. Jelavic, that type of striker who'll find space in the box.
Well, that's it.
One touch finish in the area. Yeah.
I think Tony's not here to defend himself, so I can question on this on Wednesday. But he said something dead weird to me on Saturday after the game.
It was after a few drinks. That's my experience with Scotty. Yeah.
He said that Beto's better in the box, 6 yards, but I don't think he is. I think he's better, like you just said, running onto the ball through one goal.
He scored a few goals like a Wolves, didn't he? But you know what I mean? I think there's a flaw in our transfer strategy. As much as about the strikers, is either if you're going to buy Barry, you get another one. But if you're only going to have 2 strikers, you don't buy Barry, you buy somebody who's more experienced. And I think that will, and we've had said this several times, haven't we? And I think you mentioned it on Saturday. And a lot of people said, well, they just play Njai as a Jared Bowen type striker, and then that frees up, Diblin to come in or something like that. Because I do think that'll cost us this season. I'd argue that's costing us already, not having a fully formed striker up top who can convert the type of, the number of chances we're getting because of the skill of the wide men. So it's an interesting discussion. I don't think it's the don't think it's the last of the discussion about the striking position.
Maybe it's just who you can get hold of. They managed to negotiate a deal with Barry, didn't they? It's not like they've just paid what Villarreal was said they were going to have much. And the same with Diblin in it. They kept waiting, and in the end, I understand Southampton came back to them. So it's who you can get through the door, because I'm not too sure. Shout out if you've got one, but what sort of striker would have fitted that profile anyway? You'd have been available.
Barry doesn't look like he fits that though. He's played limited minutes, and I'm not obviously going to give him a chance, but he doesn't look like he's going to be that out and out striker that you're talking about for me.
Can I give a very controversial opinion here?
You always give controversial opinions.
Who's an Everton striker of recent vintage who showed himself quite capable when the ball's played across the 6-yard box from out wide, that he's pretty decent at putting the ball in the net?
What are you going to say, Dominic?
Calvert-Lewin.
There you go.
Silence speaks volumes. To be honest,
I'm just saying, if you think back to Calvert-Lewin 1920, 2021,
he did it for that season.
I'm not saying, and I'm arguing against myself, I don't really count the COVID season because it was all a bit mad.
But that's where he scored most of his goals, and that's the way.
When it suits me.
That's the way Angelotti set up.
No, seriously, I'm just thinking that was sort of Calvert-Lewin's strength, and I'm not saying. I'm just thinking about if we had a third striker. I think it would be helpful. I'm just thinking about who's available. Well, we got rid of somebody who's actually pretty decent at doing that.
Oh, you got rid of himself.
I don't know. We obviously offered him a deal and he didn't want it. So it's not that we've not just said, "Listen, Dominic, go. We're not interested." We've obviously offered him a deal that he's rejected, and we all know he's being badly advised. It's just something. I'm just answering the question there.
Yeah.
Is this a mad question based on Saturday's performance and the fact that we had so many opportunities? Obviously, Beto missed a couple. Chris, is there too much? Was there too much emphasis on getting the ball in the box to Beto? Should Grealish and Ndiaye have taken more opportunities to try and have a goal themselves?
Yes, Gav said there has been a bit of an overplay in that respect. We saw obviously the first game against Brighton and Hove Albion. First touch, bang at the back post, Ndiaye, that kind of finished. So yeah, they probably were a bit guilty of that on Saturday. I just wonder how much of I know he's come back and faced Villa many a times with Manchester City, but the occasion with Jack Grealish, I mean, he must come in. You know, he's a Brummie. You know, it's his boy club. He must sort of come into his thinking. Just maybe was he trying to like do the perfect sort of
Bit
assist
of
or something?
maybe.
I don't know. Maybe he never want to use the word showboat, but
Yeah.
like you say, take that extra
Very
touch.
soccer I am type phrase, isn't it? That needs to be avoided. But I know what you're saying.
Yeah, just
sound a bit too hard, maybe.
Possibly, just trying to do the perfect pass or something like that. I just wonder how much they'd come into it. I mean, Moyes said beforehand, didn't he, in his pre-match press conference? I mean, after we'd spoken, wasn't it, on Friday? Yeah, it was, wasn't it? Because we were like, oh yeah, same again. And then he said that and I had a knock, and he was very concerned about that. But to be fair, he didn't show many signs of that. He did well in that respect from a physical point of view. But in terms of, again, in decision making, perhaps he could have been a bit smarter there at times.
Yeah. I think going back to Beto, I think
it's the Beto show.
No, it is. But that was one of the main talking points, wasn't it, about Saturday? As indeed there wasn't. We spent 20 minutes on the pod talking about whether we should pick him or not on Friday. So we got, so you got to talk about the selection, haven't you?
Same again for Saturday.
Sometimes you are let down. There was one in the second half where I think he was let down, where Dewsbury Hall got the ball on the left of the byline, and Beto does what a good striker does. He does hang back, so he's got a load of space by the penalty spot. By we don't want to tear claps again, do we?
No, just speaking to the mic so people can hear
you. Is Dewsbury Hall got the ball, didn't he, on the byline on the left-hand side, and Beto, rather than go towards the 6-yard box with the Villa defender, hangs back by the penalty spot, which is like an ideal, what a good striker does. And Dewsbury Hall just fires the ball across the 6-yard box. Where actually, if he'd looked up and looked to his right, Beto was unmarked by the penalty spot. Whether he would have scored or not, but that was an example of good strike and play, what you would expect a good striker to do about getting space in the area. But he was let down because the Everton player didn't look up.
Yeah.
And so, although it's easy to give Beto criticism, on occasions on Saturday, and on occasion just generally, he's sometimes let down by the people who provide and the bullets for him.
Yeah, I thought Kieran Dewsbury Hall was a bit quiet on Saturday. I probably agree with this, like you're saying the other week, great signing, great profile. He's really nice lad as well, really sort of good character from what I've, my limited time was speaking to him. But yeah, he was quiet and probably wasn't having that kind of influence that we've already seen already from him in games.
Do you think, going back to, and again, this is another talking point, isn't it? And I think there's lots of views on this. Do you think, given that, what I said, is we have got a lot of strength behind the striker, were you surprised that all three were kept on?
Yeah. Well, not surprised, because I know how Moyes works sometimes. I was maybe a little bit frustrated that Moyes didn't, go
switch
for it. So
certainly,
I think with Dewsbury Hall and Ndiaye, I don't think anyone would have complained if Ndiaye had come off for Diblin. And to be honest, I don't think anyone would have complained if Dewsbury Hall had come off for Alcaraz as well. I think keeping Grealish on probably would have been the right decision, because he's just got it in his locker to make something happen. Yeah. You could argue Ndiaye's got that as well, but if he was carrying a knock and he looked a bit tired and a little bit leggy towards the end, he's got 5 subs there to make Moyes. It's 0-0. It's like I was saying against Leeds when it was 0-0. Just go for it a little bit here. We've got quality on the bench. You've got the options. Maybe that will develop as the season goes on. Yeah. And the subs that he brought on might not have made any difference whatsoever, but I think we probably could have played another 90 minutes with that team and still wouldn't have scored.
No. Yeah, maybe he just thought, it's going to come, and then in retrospect, it's easier for us to say, well, it never came.
Obviously in hindsight, that's fine.
But
what's the point in having these options on the bench?
I think sometimes that's Moyes' management over the years, though, isn't it? I never described Moyes as a negative manager. I think anything that people have said that I think are wrong. I've said that before. But there are occasions, even in this first spell at Everton, where in game he could be a little bit more positive, and change things around a little bit. And I thought, he stays with the side and trusted too long in 90 minutes. And I thought that was a classic example on Saturday, because the last 10, 15 minutes, Keane was virtually playing up front, wasn't he? And Villa's game plan on Saturday was, we're getting a point here from a 0-0 draw, wasn't it? Because they offered very little. And I thought maybe he should have changed it around a little bit. Even if you just swap the trade, move one out, NJ in the middle, so it's just something. And in the end, it became a little bit laborious, didn't it? Where we ended up the last 10 minutes that, our main threat was crosses in for Michael Keane.
I think that's the thing. I think it got to a point, didn't it, with about 10, maybe 15 minutes to go, where we got ourselves back in the ascendancy.
Yeah.
I think what Chris said there, Moyes thought it's coming. It's going to come here. And again, with hindsight, it finishes 0-0. You go, well, he could have made those substitutions.
Yeah. I think if you've drawn 0-0 at home, and you've not changed your strike. I know he changed that till late on. He changed Barry quite late on. Yeah. If you've not changed things,
you've not mixed it up as such. Because
that's one thing about Barry and Bess, are the same profile striker, aren't they? If you've not changed it around, you're probably thinking. I think as a supporter, I think it's legitimate. It's legitimate for you to say we should have changed it around a little bit there for the last 10, especially when Villa had obviously just decided we're just going to, make sure you don't score here, and we're not interested in scoring ourselves.
Unai Emery said they suffered, but he liked that.
Yeah, absolutely.
He took the cost.
He's a good guy, Emery, isn't he? Yeah. I feel rather guilty saying that.
After you pounding him out.
Yeah. But he's a really good guy. Yeah. And I think they'll do well again this year. And it was great. We spoke to after the game, Brian Little.
Okay, yeah, I saw him in the media room.
He scored the winning goal against us in the 1977 League Cup final, but I had a long conversation with him. Really good, intelligent striker. Andy Gray played at Everton, obviously successfully. He said the best player he played with was Brian Little, Aston Villa. So that shows you the quality Brian Little had.
He's one of those Brian Little. I think he went prematurely grey, but then now he doesn't seem to have aged for about 30 years since.
He was marvellously gifted. With Brian Little. It was good to have a good chat with him,
I just think this team is developing. It's certainly going to need time. It's still learning how individuals are learning how to play with each other. I just think there's got to be a bit more of an emphasis on the wingers, who are quite clearly our best players within that team, just to contribute more from a chances point of view. Obviously then that comes with goals, because we're not, like you've just said there, Barry and Beto are same profile of player. It's not like we can take Beto off and then bring Barry on, who's going to be completely different in the way we play. Sometimes the way we have played, or the way we played on Saturday, getting the balls into the box from crosses on the wing, it can be a little bit of a detriment. It's always very difficult to get your head on a cross when you're surrounded by 3 or 4 defenders. It's not always the way. We've got to find a way, certainly when Beto plays, and again it's the same with Barry as well, to create space behind the opposition defence, and we did that very well on occasions last season. And
we did in the start of the game on Saturday, didn't we? And Jai got behind the defensive future with the results.
No, there was certainly a lot of interchanges of nice play, but certainly between Nzai and Beto, I thought. But even if you look at, like, I'm just using this as an example, but the Wolves goal that Nzai scored, it was almost like walked in, wasn't it? Grealish got the ball across their face, and was that the same for the Brighton goal as well?
Kind of.
There was one in the Mansfield game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it's sometimes it's you can't always walk the ball in the back of the net. You've got to be able to score different types of goals.
Could under Pep when they were really good, But what you can remember is with Nzai is he's not an assist player, is he?
Well, he was our top goal scorer last season.
Yeah, but if you have assists, how many assists did he have? Was it one?
No, he got none last season in the league anyway.
So and I do have again. It goes back how you configure the 3 behind the striker. Is if you have a right-footed player on the right, and this happened in the opening minutes of the Brighton games, quite noticeable, is Nzai, and they're not great on the left, though he's okay. When they cut in, the chances of them, getting a shot off and it being a good goal scoring off as Unity are limited, because they cut it on the weaker foot, don't they? Where if he cuts in from the right-hand side, and from the left-hand side onto his right, say Leicester last year, was it?
Yes.
You obviously got more chances of scoring, and that for me is where actually on occasions you can just swap things around a little bit, and because Nzai coming in off the wing from the right, inside is not the same as Nzai coming in on the wing from the left and coming inside. He's far weaker, and bear in mind he's not an assistant. A great assister. What a terrible phrase that is. What the great assister mean? Like,
assist contributor.
Assist contributor is. It sort of weakens us a little bit in terms of him, I think. but he still give us great moments on Saturday overall, considering he was, as Moyes said, he was carrying a knock.
I've got a good question here from Gavin Cunningham, who's obviously mentioned about the Beto comment, but this is a really good question. I'm going to come on to that now. What I'd like to see, Chris, and there's a little bit of talk, certainly from Scotty on Saturday, about he'd like to see Ndai pushed up front as this false nine. I can't see David Moyes doing that. I'd be very surprised if he does. So, what I'd like to see...
Why'd you say that?
I just can't see Moyes doing it. I just can't.
Right.
Well, like
because we've got...
He did Bowen.
No,
he played Bowen like that.
Hang on, let me tell you what I'd like to see.
Yeah.
Because I think it would benefit the striker, whoever plays. I'd like to see Ndai on the left, Grealish as the number 10, and Diblin come in at some point on the right. And I feel, and Kane and Dewsbury all push back into a more of a deeper role. I mentioned this on Friday, so take your pick when everyone's fit of whether it's Idrissa Gana Gueye or James Garner who plays as the holder. So I think Grealish as the number 10 would benefit Barry and Beto wholeheartedly a lot more.
Well, it gets Ndai back on the left cutting inside, as Gav's just said, and also, like you say, it's an opportunity for Diblin to go in. So maybe it's a case of we'll just see how it goes, because as much as he's a precocious talent, Tyler Diblin just joined the group, came late in the window, and maybe as the season progresses and things evolve at Finch Farm, both like in match days and what they're doing on a day-to-day basis, we might see that, and it would also provide that flexibility that we've been talking about. We were saying, as much as they've done well, they've been quite predictable in what they're doing. Maybe being able to mix it up. Have Dewsbury Hall. I mean, it's positive as well. If you've got Dewsbury Hall deeper, certainly for the home games, that could be an option. So yeah, well, it certainly might be something that we work on, because it would probably solve about 2 or 3 options in one if you did that. I'm not saying it's definitely going to work, but at least it is an option to mix things up and keep opponents guessing. I imagine.
No, and I think as well, Grealish has always played his best football. I know he had a good season with Manchester City on the left hand side, but certainly made his name with Villa. You know,
okay,
as the
but when you
10,
say, I don't disagree with you. I wouldn't do it in every game. Who would you play with Dewsbury Hall? Just in front of the defence?
That's a good question. I haven't thought about that far.
Because that's what you think about, haven't you? You wouldn't play Garner Gueye.
Why not?
Because you're not going to have any... I don't think, at his age and stuff, you don't want him covering the back four. You'd have to play James Garner. You know, like we did in America, we were playing 4-1.
I think James Garner...
4-1-4-1 is you'd have to play James Garner. You can't play Garner Gueye there.
James Garner's played his way into that position over the course of the past couple of weeks, though, as well.
Where, the left back position or the midfield position?
In the midfield position. I know he's filled in. Well, he played. I thought he did play well on Saturday as left back. Yeah,
but I think you'd have to play James Garner there in front of the back four, because Garner Gueye hasn't got the legs, and the in terms of reading the game, hasn't got that. He's more of a putting out fires, isn't he? Like he's been doing. So I play James Garner there than Dewsbury Hall. I wouldn't play Garner Gueye or Irabunum there, and but I wouldn't do it in every game. But it is an option. Definitely.
I think as well that number 6 position, or whatever you want to call it, if it's Gueye playing there, he always seems to find himself with a shooting opportunity on the edge of the box. And obviously always seemingly fluffs his lines. I probably do agree.
Especially when he's having a longer left foot one. If he's trying left foot one.
If James Garner was in that position, finding himself just on the edge of the box.
Well, I wouldn't put him in the team just for that.
No, but I'm just saying.
He's not a number 6 either, Garner, but what you do now, he's younger and more mobile. And you'd trust him there more than what you trust Garner Gueye. And
we can't just rely on a 35, 36-year-old Idrissa Gana Gueye for forever.
Well, maybe that's what will happen as the season goes on. Obviously, he's going away to the AFCON, but then obviously Ndai's going alongside him, presumably, so you lose both at the one time. But yeah, there will be opportunities given his age, you'd imagine, perhaps where Moyes would want to take him out.
Absolutely. And the one player we've left out of the conversation is Merlin Roll. Do we know?
I'm just saying Roll. So.
Yeah, just say the recent signing from
I thought he did okay when he came on.
Yeah. So
Big Merlin.
we have got a little bit of.
He set the Barry up.
Yeah,
didn't he?
A bit of extra cover.
Ball. That was probably the only through ball.
Yeah.
And in time that he may be an option there. Well, he will be an option in there, you would think. So I'm not against it, but I think you wouldn't do it in every game, because I think it would make us a little bit more open. We have looked open a little bit in that area at Goodison. Is that the first? Is that the first time?
Tony Dunn's into that one.
HD. You know why that is? Because I've got that
blaming it on the scarf.
It's obviously, imprinted in my mind during the pod. You wouldn't do it at every game, and I think at HD Stadium we have looked open on occasions.
Kevin's asked you, can you speak into the mic a little bit more?
Am I not speaking into the mic?
Well, he just says, speak into the mic, please.
Okay.
Maybe I assume it's you, Gav.
Right, am I at the wrong angle?
I think that's probably. You don't have to be too close. It's probably like about.
I was going to say, to be fair, it was interesting to see Merlin roll for the first time up close after we were hearing all these Finch Farm whispers via Michael Ball, how he was impressing in training. One thing is saying, Gav, actually, I know he's been brought in for his technical skills, but he's a big unit, isn't he? He's a bit
for the youngest lad.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Like a young Gavin Buckland.
Yeah. All right.
No, but there's a physicality about him. Yeah.
Chris, if you've ever played football, I do not use my physicality because there isn't any proper bottle merchants. But I think there are options there, aren't there?
Yeah.
From summer purchases.
I'm looking at it from a point of view trying to benefit the strikers. That's all. I think if you're going to play Grealish and Ndiaye on the wings, I've got no problem with that either. I just think, obviously, this is backwards because Grealish has already provided 4 assists so far this season, but there's going to have to be more of an emphasis on those two to have a go at goal more, rather than thinking I'm going to cross the ball into the box.
When you say those two, you're talking Grealish and Ndiaye?
Yeah, just from the wings point of view as well.
Yeah,
I think from what you were saying about Kieran Dewsbury, I think he did okay. Whether he had his best game for Everton or not, probably not. But if he's going to play as that number 10, he's certainly going to have more of an impact from a creative point of view as well.
Yeah, it was quiet in that respect, like you said. You're playing in that role, you've kind of got to be pulling the strings, and we have seen that from him, to be fair, already. So we know he's got it in his locker. So hopefully it was just one of them. It's a tough day at the office, and we'll see more of him going forward.
I think what you're saying about Grealish, by the way, it's a little bit like the Dewsbury Hall goal at Wolves, isn't it? He's moving into the middle of the pitch in a little bit of a clever,
a bit of forward
ball, for somebody to run onto, and that's what the type of thing you would expect them. You'd want them to do. It's just ultimately what we're saying is we do, and this is what he was guilty of on Saturday, Moyes. We don't have to have rigid thinking about the 3 behind the striker, both in terms of like the positions they play and who those 3 are at any given moment.
Yeah.
And there's a danger, isn't it, that because of the start of the season, that there's a danger that you can see at the moment that we are in that territory, aren't we? Where we just think about it as a 3, and they always play there. Yeah. But actually, we can switch things around for the benefit of the team and make us look more effective. And I think that the Dewsbury Hall one is a decent shout, but we have to be careful about who we pick with them in front of the defence.
Billy Corbett says I can hear Gav's mic fine. Which is good.
Mike Wars.
Yeah. I don't like what he's saying, but I can hear him. But it's an interesting one, isn't it? But we've come on leaps and bounds, haven't we? Here we have to remember, help by quite a bit of money ball.
Biggest net spend, isn't it? Yeah.
In the summer, you have to remember that when we compare it to Daesh. But going back to the, take the positives, we have to take the negatives and analyse them, say where we can improve, and that's exactly what we're doing, aren't we?
Yeah, absolutely. So I said I got this question from Gavin Cunningham. It's not really a question, it's more of a statement, but I do kind of agree with it. He says, the fullback situation is now affecting the way we play. If Garner started centre mid against Villa, we would have won easily. The limitation at fullback is holding us back. Would you agree with that?
It's interesting, isn't it? Because obviously Vitaly Mikalenko basically got by without really having a proper understudy the last couple of years. I know Ashley Young would often fill in there and do a good job, but without having a natural sort of left back pushing him. But so they brought in Adam Asnou. To be fair to David Moyes, he did say from the start he was one for the future, a young lad who wasn't quite there at the moment, and that did seem to be the case in the limited times we've seen him. He's still, as much as he offers a bit of technical ability and promise for the future, he's not quite there. And I thought Jake O'Brien actually did really well on Saturday.
But so did James Garner as well. Interestingly,
again, and he's not let anyone down. In those early stages at Leeds, it was on his left foot, and you could see he was don't put it there for me, lads. But he's done really well, as a square peg in a round hole. If I said that the right way. Jake O'Brien, because to be fair to Jake, he by all accounts had a bit of a torrid time with Ireland midweek. They all had, obviously losing in Armenia. It effectively ended their World Cup hopes. He was playing on the right side of a back three there, but yeah, back in the full. I mean, I almost said it tongue in cheek at start. The cork cafu. I mean, there was some silky touches from him there.
Coming out with them all today,
He was. I mean, when he's running at you, and it's not just. I mean, I can use that phrase again. Big unit. It's all 6'6" of him. When he's coming at you like an express train. I mean, what are you going to do? He's not just like a headless chicken. He's got that control of the football, and he's learning. He's growing in that role. I think all the time. At first, it's a bit of a novelty seeing him out there, but. As much as we know that David Moyes made attempts to bring in Kenny Tete, a specialist right back this summer, and wasn't able to get that one over the line, I think Jake is really sort of developing in that role, and he's effective in what he does, and it's not just being a big lad shoving everyone out the way. He's got a bit of finesse about him.
Yeah, it's weird because I don't necessarily disagree with Gavin's comments about the fullback situation, but neither fullback had a bad game on Saturday. But I think the issue still stands that the fullback situation is nothing new, really, is it? Even with a fit and firing Mykolenko, there's still question marks about whether he's good enough to, going forward. The right back situation without Jake O'Brien, say we had an Ashley Young or a Seamus Coleman or a Nathan Patterson. We know Coleman's had the quality in the past, but Ashley Young was an agent right back quality. You can question Nathan Patterson's quality. So these aren't new things. It's just kind of filling the gaps at this moment in time.
Some mad stats, isn't it? We've not bought a right back for like 15 years or something, Is
that what it is?
I don't know.
Mykolenko was probably the last one.
Right back.
Oh, right back.
Yeah. Us Gavins are going to stick together here, I think. And, I'm going to agree with my namesake because I think it does. I think it hurts us for a couple of reasons. The first with O'Brien is, I get it, he's a big unit, but you want somebody modern era fullback with the burst of pace, don't you? You can move quickly over short distance, and O'Brien, if you're tall like that, you can't do that. You might generate momentum over distance, but you want somebody you can beat.
His acceleration really probably is lacking, but he over time, he gets the
You want somebody who's nippy, straight away. And you were talking about Coleman's a good example of that, isn't he? And so consequently, are you getting the best out of NJ where you've got somebody who's going to be really quick on the outside of him? So I think it hurts us at right back, but it also hurts us obviously in the central defence, doesn't it? Because we have to play a central defender there, which lessons our options at centre half. Albeit the two played well on Saturday. I think this Saturday may be a different experience. On the left-hand side, I think definitely. I always say this, don't I? I don't think it's ideal when you've got two right-footed players playing on the wrong side of the pitch, playing on the left. You can get away with one. But what you would like is, especially if Grealish is having, obviously people are appreciating that he's a threat for us. Double mark him. So what you want there is somebody who's a left-back who's going to, when he cuts inside, it's going to move quickly into that space, and who's left-footed so they can whip a cross in and stuff like that. But you've got James Garner there, it'll do a job for you defensively, but he's not going to do that. And if he does that, he's going to have to turn inside rather than overlap. And I think that's where it's hurting us. Mykolenko, for all his faults, going forward, he is left-footed.
Yeah, well,
that's just natural to go down the touchline.
I wasn't criticising Mykolenko, by the way.
No. I think he's done a good job for us over the years. I don't think he's been the same since that derby where he got injured. Yeah. But he's done okay. So we've gone, let's face it, as ever, we talk about the right back position. Patterson.
Well, there's a fullback that we bought within 15 years.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting
what you said.
They might be the only one.
Yeah. What you said there, Gav, about the left foot, right foot. Obviously, you've got an entire back four of right footers at the moment. So it's curious and perhaps concerning that after the Villa game, Moyes was asked, is Mykolenko going to be in contention for Liverpool? And he said he'd no idea. And then in his pre-match press conference, he said about Jared Bramthwaite, he was still a few weeks off. So, the pair of them, the two left footers.
So I think that's been expectation at Branthwaite early on. We said it would be the end of September before you see him.
There's been no mention of a setback or anything like that, so maybe it's just running its course.
It doesn't. It hurts you, but it hurts you not just in those positions. You're saying like there, but we can't play Garner in front of the back four if you've got to play him at left back. O'Brien playing right back means we're weaker in the middle of the defence in terms of options. So it hurts you not just in those roles, it hurts you in the setup of the team, doesn't it?
Well, from an attacking point of view as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So I agree with Gavin. I think that's spot on. Yeah,
Goalkeepers Union, Gavin Union.
Yeah, the Gavin Union is sticking up for one another. But no, I agree.
Do we want to criticise the referee performance? Or?
No, don't talk about it.
No, you don't want to speak about it? Chris, do you want to?
Yeah, when you read Michael Ball's column later, you might see a bit of that. I don't know. I'll say it probably wasn't too much of a surprise, really, unfortunately. I mean, you probably fill out a list as long as your arm, couldn't you? Referees who you could criticise before the game even started. You think, oh, he's going to be no good. But yeah, unfortunately, what I will say is I wasn't too surprised given those frustrations.
Can I get something off my chest about Saturday as well?
Go on.
It's to do with the 8 second, the 8 second rule when the goalkeeper receives the ball and they've got to get rid of it, within 8 seconds. But there may be somebody out there that would contradict me. That doesn't apply when they're taking a goal kick, does it?
No.
Which I think there's an inconsistency there. So what we're saying, we've got a problem with goalkeepers, wasting time. But I tell you what, we'll only look at half of the problem when they receive the ball on the pitch and get rid of it. But actually, once you've got to take a goal kick, you can take as much long as you like, mate. Okay, and we're not going to punish it, because Martinez obviously is the king of the dark arts, isn't he? He's a very great goalkeeper. Like on the second, you're saying like in the last 10 minutes, Villa were looking to just basically settle for a point. It's taking ages over goal kicks, and there's nothing to stop. But you're doing that within the law, other than the referee giving you a warning. And we should be doing, if that's what the emphasis of the law is minimising the time that the goalkeeper's got the ball and stop them time wasting. That also has to apply to goal kicks as well, surely.
I don't disagree with you. I think it's probably opens up a bit of a can of worms, and I think it was probably emphasised a lot more on Saturday because of the way Villa were playing. They were trying to play out from the back. With the other side of the rule, when the keeper's got it in his hands, is that when the 8 seconds start? Literally when he's got it in his hands. From your point of view,
it's when it's a goal
does
kick.
it start? From the referee blows
it's when
the
you're
whistle.
when you take, when you place the ball in the 6-yard box. And
So should it start from then?
Yeah. No, but it doesn't cover that. It's the 8 second rule. I think only covers it when the goalkeeper receives the ball, and having 8 seconds to get rid of it. When
there's got to be a starting point, hasn't it? To count up to 8.
It doesn't apply to. If somebody, I'm quite happy to be corrected there. That law doesn't apply to when you're taking an actual goal kick itself. So I can.
You are right.
Sit off. I can stand outside the playing area. just wasting time before I run up and kick the ball.
I know, but my question is, at what point do you start the count? Do you, like when the keeper places the ball down on the
possibly
the white line, or when the referee blows the whistle
possibly,
to say take the free kick?
I don't know, but it's just something that there's an inconsistency in the law that you saw time wasting. Let's face it, I've seen time wasted by Everton keepers over the years. 0-0 at Anfield on Saturday with I think 60 seconds left. You know what I'm saying? It's inconsistent. If the rules of the game are to minimise the time the goalkeeper's got the ball or control of the ball, then that should also be applied to goal kicks from the 6-yard box.
You have to get a hotline to. What's Mike Dean doing at the moment? Or Keith Hackett or something?
Let's see what Keith said, because Keith's quite active on.
He is. I've spoke to Keith. Do you remember after when Dominic Calvert-Lewin had his controversial sending off at Crystal Palace that got overturned? I spoke to Keith after that, because to be fair, there's a bit of a connection there. He's pals. Do a plug for Spirit of the Blues again. Paul Trevelyan, who did the illustrations for my book, he did You Are the Ref. Do you remember that in The Guardian? Of course. So Trevelyan would do all the illustrations and Hackett would do all the refereeing sort of thing. So they're pals, those two. And I've spoken to Keith Hackett. So I don't know, he's over 80 years old now. But
speak to him again. You're a good referee, Keith Hackett, by the way.
I'm going to slightly disagree just on that point. I don't think Villa were naturally time wasting. I just think it was the way they were trying to set up and play out from the back. They did it countless times throughout the game where Martinez was just looking for a pass close to him so they could build out. So I don't know whether you'd agree or disagree
But
with that.
That's a different thing. It's just when you're taking a goal, when the ball goes out of play and the goalkeeper picks the ball up and places it on the 6-yard box to back it up the pitch or play it to the back four, there doesn't appear. I'm pretty certain that the law doesn't apply to that. And you're seeing on Saturday the anomaly in the law that he was taking forever to take a goal kick, and the crowds are getting a bit uppity. Totally within his rights, but it's just an inconsistency, I think, with the law of the game.
When does the 8 seconds start when a keeper's got the ball in his hands from an open play?
I don't know.
It must be just when you've got the ball in his hands.
Yeah, get Chris, ask his mate Keith.
Get Keith on.
There's an article for you this week. It's a bit slow.
You should have brought me phone. Can you imagine that? We got Keith on speakerphone.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I'll do.
Yeah.
Me and Tony decided that Michael Keane would be the Royal Blue NordVPN man of the match.
Wow.
Would you have agreed with that?
Yeah.
He's done well, hasn't he?
He's done smashing, to be fair. And as much as, when things go badly for Michael Keane, it seems to be that he's an easy whipping boy, isn't he? And what he will do, he'll hold his hand up. That Manchester City game, it was tough circumstances for him to come in when Tarkowski got injured last season. And he knows that he wasn't at the races that day, but for all the times that he has been dependable, let's give him some credit when he gets.
Put it this way, when there was conversations in the summer about, giving him an extension, and there's people legitimately say no. You were saying, well, actually, if you don't give him an extension, he's got to spend 10, 15 million quid on a 4-3 centre half. He's fully justified his the extension of his contract thus far, hasn't
already
he?
So far, because
4 or 5 games into the season.
Where would we be?
And he comes across as, and people know him, Chris, he comes across as a very decent guy as well, which I like. And good luck to him.
Yeah.
He's had understanding had his critics, but I'm made up. He's had a great start to the season. At the start of last season, by the way, Tarkowski was the one who was struggling. Keane was good. Starts last season. So, or decent. So, yeah, I'm made up, and he's definitely my man of the match. I thought he read the game impeccably and was a goal threat. And he deserved a goal, actually, for his performance. Especially
with that right-back issue that we talked about, the fact that O'Brien will probably be out there for most of the season, and given they didn't sign anyone else, it just makes Michael Keane's role even more important, and probably means that he get more game time that he might have done if they had to sign the right back. So yeah, he's Mr. Dependable a lot of the time, to be fair, and obviously a big test for him, like the rest of them, going to Anfield on Saturday. But so far, so good for Michael Keane.
And he has, he's the only current Everton player to score at both derbies of both grounds, isn't he?
Wow. There you go. That's why he's here.
Statman Gav.
Always have that in me locker,
the sleeve.
Yeah. We'll finish off now, but obviously, Gav, you're not going to be on a pod for the rest of the week. When are you going to be back?
End of next week.
End of next week. Yeah. So,
you won't see. What's the game after Liverpool in the league?
Oh, that's
Wolves.
After Wolves.
But it's not till the Monday, is it?
And then I'm not here for that.
It's 2 weeks.
Well, I'm here for West Ham, but I'm not here at the beginning. At the end.
You're telling all the viewers and the listeners about how you're not going to be here to pair you.
All I wanted to ask was just Liverpool coming off Derby. How excited are you for that?
Excited, is that the right word?
Well, put it this way. I know they've won 4 games, but I don't think they look. They've not don't look the same threat as last season, do they? And we competed last season at Anfield for 50, 60 minutes. We arguably should have gone into half time, but we should have gone into half time a goal to the good. And we have got a fair, as you said, we have got some quality in the final third. And there's no reason at all why we can't get a result on Saturday if Moyes is prepared to take advantage of the people that he's got in the final third. And we're eminently capable of getting the result.
Interestingly, I bet you this is a game where we will find space behind the opposition defence.
Well, yeah. So substitutes at the left back in the first half yesterday.
Well, it's up for Beto or Barry then to go on and score these one-on-one chances that I'm basically saying that they can do.
Yeah, I mean, Van Dijk probably said this, and a bit of tongue-in-cheek. Van Dijk, obviously top class, is perhaps won't fancy. Beto will be one of the more awkward players that he'll face. And Beto caused problem for Liverpool Anfield, didn't he? At Goodison last year, didn't he? He scored last year, didn't he?
At the home,
in the home game.
Scored a good couple of important goals. United as well.
Yeah, so I think, compared to some of the other forwards in the Premier League, again, talk about Beto in a positive way. He has shown that he can cause Liverpool backline difficulties, and hopefully he can do the same on Saturday.
Cool. All right, well, we've finished there. Plenty of shows coming up over the next couple of days. Liverpool preview shows, Merseyside Derby preview show. So we will be back Wednesday and we'll definitely be back Friday. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and ask one of our Liverpool writers, Chris, if they come on the Royal Blue podcast for a view from the opposition.
Okay.
So keep an eye out for that one. If that happens, that is going to be Tuesday.
Can we get 3 people in this studio? 3 guests.
3 guests. Yeah, we can be set up for a 4-man podcast.
Wow.
Yeah, should. I've always said this. Should always have a joint Liverpool Everton podcast.
He just wants more needle, full stop, doesn't he, Gav?
Wants more debate.
Only post-match, only if Everton have got a result.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah.
Or whether if we get beat and it's a controversial refereeing decision, which more often than not, that does happen, doesn't it?
That's a bit cliche, that.
Yeah, that is true, Gav. That is very true. Okay, final thoughts before we go. All good, positive?
Positive, but need improvement in the way we have the 3 behind the striker. A bit more better imagination of the manager.
Same, Chris?
Yeah, it's fair enough, isn't it? It was a big sort of test, sort of marker where Everton were at, really, and show as much as Villa had a tough start to the season, they are still a quality side, and one you'd imagine will end up near a lot closer to the top than the bottom of the table. So yeah, there are plenty to work on them, but it's hopefully moving in the right direction.
Okay, just a reminder, to get the best discounts off your NordVPN plan, go to the episode description box, nordvpn.com/EFC. That is all for today's show. Please remember to give us a like and subscribe to the channel. Follow us on Apple and Spotify. Give us some 5-star reviews. Most importantly, enjoy the rest of your day. Enjoy the rest of your week. I've been Ian Croll, joined by Gav Buckland and Chris Beesley, and this has been the Royal Blue Podcast.